Adrian Newey, the mastermind behind many of Red Bull's most successful designs, has just received some disappointing news about his move to Aston Martin. It seems Red Bull is playing a tactical game, while the competition is simply following the basics. Newey opened up about the strategic decisions made by his former team, which could heavily influence his next career chapter at Aston Martin. The question is, has Red Bull successfully minimized the potential damage caused by Newey's departure, and how will Aston Martin feel the impact over the long term? Aston Martin has secured what could be one of the most valuable assets in Formula One, Adrian Newey. After 2 decades of working with Red Bull, very few expected the 65-year-old to embark on a new adventure at this stage of his career. But Newey's departure is a major loss for Red Bull, and they certainly understand the depth of his impact. The Austrian team knows Newey's value and is determined to limit how much of his innovative genius will reach Aston Martin in the coming years. For Aston Martin, landing Newey is a significant victory, as he's not just any engineer, he's a true asset that could shape their future in Formula One. His expertise will be crucial as they look to challenge the established order in the coming seasons. But let's not forget, Newey's transition won't be without its hurdles. Having worked alongside Red Bull for so long, he is well aware of the power that the Austrian team holds, especially in terms of resources and technological support. And with the clock ticking, there's a sense that Aston Martin's hope for a major breakthrough could be delayed. Newey himself has admitted that while he can still innovate during his gardening leave, his ability to truly shape the future of Aston Martin's car is limited by the tools Red Bull has blocked him from using. He was candid when discussing his situation with the media, saying, "The team can't stop me from thinking and coming up with ideas, but they've restricted my access to the resources I need to bring those ideas to life." For Newey, the focus is now on 2026 and the massive changes in regulations that are on the horizon. But the challenge is clear: Aston Martin will be starting behind the curve compared to their competitors. Red Bull has played this situation with remarkable precision. They know Newey's capabilities and how much he's contributed to their dominance in recent years, particularly in 2023. While it's easy to credit one individual for a team's success, it's clear that Newey's leadership and his guidance of the engineering team played a crucial role. The relationship between him and his engineers fostered a culture of innovation that directly impacted the performance of the cars. So, when Newey pointed out flaws in the RB20 early on, it was a sign that things weren't quite as perfect as they seemed. Yet, those warnings went largely unheeded because the car was still winning, dominating the first few races of the season. The situation escalated when internal investigations showed that Helmut Marko had gained more power within the team. While Newey's decision to leave preceded this shift, it's still an indicator of the growing tensions within Red Bull. The failure to heed Newey's concerns about the car's development could be seen as a sign of the internal fractures that have been simmering beneath the surface. Meanwhile, Aston Martin is preparing to capitalize on the opportunities that will arise when the new regulations come into play in 2026, potentially putting them in a strong position to compete with the dominant teams of the current era. Aston Martin's future in Formula One could be significantly enhanced by one factor that doesn't get enough attention: the collaboration between Adrian Newey and Honda. Honda has been a key player in Red Bull's success over the years, and regardless of their back-and-forth relationship with Red Bull regarding their future in the sport, their partnership has helped drive the team to great heights. Now, with Newey moving to Aston Martin, he will work closely with Honda as part of a new phase for both the team and the engine supplier. This collaboration could give Aston Martin the flexibility they need to bring in top-tier engineers and design a car that's not just competitive, but potentially a game-changer. It's possible that Newey's decision to take an equity stake in Aston Martin is also a strategic one that Red Bull couldn't match, especially given their belief that their success doesn't rest solely on one individual. Marko, for instance, suggested that while Newey has been pivotal to Red Bull's achievements, the team has a broader structure that includes many important figures beyond Newey himself. This is why Red Bull wasn't able to match the terms offered to Newey by Aston Martin, which included an equity deal that would make him more than just a designer, but a key partner in the team's future. Red Bull had a unique opportunity to keep Adrian Newey on board, but their failure to meet the terms set by Aston Martin has opened up a significant opportunity for the Silverstone-based team. Helmut Marko himself admitted that they could not match the deal that Newey received, particularly the equity aspect, which was a huge factor in Newey's decision to leave. While Red Bull firmly believes that their success doesn't rest solely on Newey's contributions, the reality is that his departure has created a void that will be hard to fill. Marco elaborated on the situation, explaining that Red Bull had an agreement in place with Newey to step back from Formula One at the end of 2025, taking on more of a mentorship role rather than continuing to lead car development. Red Bull wanted to avoid losing other key technical figures to rival teams, and they believed that Newey's transition into a more advisory position would have been beneficial. However, Aston Martin's offer, with equity stakes and a more prominent role, proved irresistible to Newey, and he took the leap to join the team. This entire situation highlights just how delicate the balance within a Formula One team can be. Red Bull, for all their success, is not immune to internal power struggles. The recent restructuring within the team, with figures like Marco gaining more authority, has certainly shifted the dynamics. The power vacuum created by Newey's departure, along with the growing influence of others like Christian Horner, is a clear indicator that Red Bull's internal structure is undergoing significant changes. This brings us to Newey's upcoming role at Aston Martin. While his departure from Red Bull is a setback for the Austrian team, the bigger picture is that Aston Martin has a chance to catch up. Newey will now have the freedom to design cars with far more input and control, especially with his equity stake in the team. Aston Martin's investment in new facilities and the support of figures like Lawrence Stroll provide a strong foundation for their future success. Despite the challenges he faces, Adrian Newey's impact on Aston Martin cannot be underestimated. As the team looks to the 2026 season and the introduction of new regulations, Newey's expertise will be crucial. However, the reality is that Newey won't have a major influence on the 2025 car, as it's already largely developed. For 2026, however, he will have the opportunity to reshape the team's car from the ground up, and that's where his true value lies. Newey will need to work with the entire team at Aston Martin, including the engineers and drivers, to ensure they are all on the same page. The feedback from drivers like Fernando Alonso will be vital as Aston Martin looks to make significant strides in the coming years. But Newey's focus is not just on the design of the car itself, it's also on how the team functions as a whole, ensuring that all aspects of the operation work together smoothly. While 2026 may be the year when Aston Martin truly begins to show its potential, the team has made it clear that they're not waiting for the new regulations to make changes. They'll be working on improving the 2025 car as well, with the goal of winning a race in the upcoming season. Alonso has been vocal about his desire to secure his 33rd career win before retiring, and Aston Martin is fully invested in making that a reality. It's clear that Aston Martin has a plan, and with Newey's arrival, they have a chance to disrupt the dominance of the established teams. Red Bull, on the other hand, will have to move forward without their chief technical officer, which raises the question of whether their dominance will continue in the same way without Newey at the helm of their car development. As we wrap up this analysis, the big question remains: has Red Bull outplayed Aston Martin by blocking Adrian Newey's ability to fully integrate into his new role? Or is this just a typical part of the business in Formula One, where teams use every tool at their disposal to slow down the competition? It's clear that this situation will have long-term consequences for both teams, and only time will tell which strategy will ultimately pay off. But what do you think? Do you believe Red Bull's tactics are justified, or is Aston Martin set to take the upper hand in the coming years? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your opinions on this fascinating story. And if you're curious about another major story involving Red Bull, make sure to click on the video appearing on your screen right now. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.